Get Pucked. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Get Pucked podcast. Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing. That out of the way, gentlemen, just straight into it. I have no time for that kind of pandering. So, something that came up today that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I think a lot of people in Habs land have been really talking about this quite a bit, considering I don't know how much of a bombshell it was, but I think it definitely changes the narrative about a particular acquisition, if you will. Pierre-Luc Dubois, we bring him up again. Apparently, the ask from Winnipeg was for Suzuki. And so while this was a non-starter for Kent Hughes, if that's what they're asking for, should Habs fans start to, I don't know, like, is that more or less an indicator that there should no longer be an expectation that a trade is going to occur with those two teams, and that perhaps PLD, if he's coming, will be the following year? Is that an indictment of the situation that's happening there? Or do you think that there's something else that could be done to make a trade happen between those two teams? Dave?
So that's an interesting rumor because it's kind of very random. Like, who leaked that? It depends on who leaked it. So
I thought it came from Friedman. Yeah,
right.
Was it an official source?
On his 32 podcast, whatever.
Who leaked it to Friedman is what interests me. If it's on the Winnipeg side, then I don't know what's going on. If it's from the Habs side, it's very interesting. It's kind of as if to appease the fans when they don't acquire Dubois. To say, hey, look, they wanted Suzuki. What do you want? What do you want from me?
Definitely.
I mean, obviously, that's a no-go. That not a chance that any general manager would even think about that deal. Especially, I don't think Kent Hughes or anything. So, I think it's a pretty silly, a silly ask if that's Winnipeg's actual true ask, and. It's just, we've heard it before, right? We've heard with the Josh Anderson rumors, so many Josh Anderson rumors, and it probably turned out to be Ken Hughes dropping those rumors around. So to me, I'm a bit hesitant to believe this as being true. I mean, it's a rumor that the general manager, Winnipeg, can't really deny. They can't say, oh no, we're not looking for your best player. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing they could say because it would make sense for them to ask for Suzuki. So at the end of the day, I don't think it changes anything in my perspective of if the deal is going to get made or not. I do think that it would be a mistake to acquire him anyways. Right now, if you're asking me, I think that if you're going to acquire Pierre-Luc Dubois, you get him for free, since he so badly wants to come here, and that's why he's
oh my God, he's teeing you up,
Not to open a can of worms or anything.
Oh, here we go.
But if he's so badly that he wants to be here, that he's playing so terribly in Winnipeg, then just get him for free in a year. You don't need him now. You absolutely, there's zero reason to get him right now if he's going to come here. The only reason to get him right now is if you actually don't believe that stuff, which I don't believe anyway. So
just to add more details to the rumor that was out there, it was apparently Winnipeg reached out to Kent Hughes and asked if Nick Suzuki would be available for Pierre-Luc Dubois. And apparently it was an immediate no, and Kent Hughes presented a package that consisted of Josh Anderson, Dvorak, and a first. That's something right. Around that. And Elliotte Friedman believes, or at least he heard from an executive, I believe. I didn't fully check out all the details on that. But a compromise could be made somewhere around Kirby Dach, which to me is a no. I am not. While at the beginning of the season, when these rumors started to float, I said, hey, that might make sense. That could make sense where Kirby Dach goes the other way. I didn't want that because I as you guys knew, I believed in Kirby Dach's potential from day one, and I saw the upside with him, and I wanted to keep him and maybe find a way to acquire Dubois while keeping Kirby Dach. Today, knowing what Kirby Dach can do for the team, I'm still saying no. But if you can make a move where it's around Dvorak, Josh Anderson, and a first, obviously not the fifth overall, I would consider it. I would definitely consider it.
So hold on a second. Now you're just on consider? A couple episodes ago, you were like the number one fan of PLD coming here.
No, hold on a second. I'm still a fan. I'm
Okay.
still a fan
Okay.
for Pierre-Luc
Oh,
Dubois.
okay. Oh,
Okay,
excuse
I,
me.
re-
Hot
I
button
really
issue
really am.
here.
I just think that it's a team that has zero leverage, and the only thing that can work at Winnipeg being the team that has zero leverage, and they can't just ask for whatever they want. Yes, he's an RFA for one more year, but he has no interest in signing there long term. The only thing that seems to be coming out that came out a few weeks ago was the fact that there may be some other teams that are interested that he also might be interested in going to, but that Montreal is the priority. So those teams were the New York Rangers, what we heard, what was in the rumor mill, and the Washington Capitals, teams of like that mold, that could be interested in Pierre-Luc Dubois, and at the same time, he might be interested in going to it. All of a sudden,
Can't
things
see
are starting to change,
Washington.
and to Dave's point, it literally sounds like agents now and people are just starting to leak stuff to try to get the ball going.
So my
Okay.
question, sorry, was
Go ahead.
was that Dvorak thing in the Friedman article, or did someone attach
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
To it? It was in.
No, it was in the same
Because
thing.
that absolutely also seems like that's like throwing in your problem, which is Christian Dvorak. It just seems too good to be true for the like, I don't know. It just seems a very Montreal-sided.
If Winnipeg was prepared to be like, hey, what's up, Kent? We'd like your captain and your best center for our guy that you want and that wants to come to you guys, why wouldn't they counter with saying, okay, but now we got a trade offer for you guys. Here's our problem, Dvorak. Here's a player that we kind of don't want to get rid of, but we know that he's an enticement piece in Anderson, and we'll give
And
you
they're
a first
interested
round
in
pick.
him. Winnipeg has been
So I
rumored
can
to be
see
interested in
that too.
Anderson.
I can see Kent Hughes returning the kicking of the tires the other way with something that seems a lot more slanted for Montreal's side of things. But this might just be feeling out things. We don't know. Ultimately, the question was, do you think that this ultimately is sort of an indicator that no trade is going to happen? So neither of you think that this leaked information to Friedman really changes the game at all. Either he's coming or he's not coming. This didn't have any factor to that.
I don't think it's going to change the game because right now the names are starting to circulate, and I like that. We're about a month and 5 days away from the draft, so you're going to start hearing about these types of things, and it's just a question of what's going to happen and whether the trigger is going to get pulled and what would the parameters of a trade look like for that kind of move.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, fair say.
To me, if the Canadiens want Dubois and the Jets want whatever they can work out a deal for sure. I don't think it's no surprise that, hey, I want your best center. Like that's how every conversation starts ever in any trade is, hey, give me your best player for what I deem to be one of my best players, and obviously you go from there. I don't think it has any effect whatsoever on what's going to happen.
All right. Well, listeners, you heard it there. Both Dave and Vito think that this hogwash will literally change nothing. Either he's coming or he's not.
On an aside, Vito, though, I'm curious. Like, you hear a trade like that, you've been arguing that Dubois wants to come here. The reason, like, he absolutely wants to come here. There's no leverage. Why would you trade for him at all, ever? Why would you, if he absolutely 100% wants to come here, why would you trade for him ever? Why would you give up a single asset?
I think the fact that you could probably get him in the $8.25, $8.5 million range in terms of a cap hit, because you're able to add that 8th year trading for him and acquiring him and having his rights versus making the money work where it's going to look more around 9.5 for 7 years. I think that's what makes it enticing to try to get him now and get him to work with Martin St. Louis and with the team as soon as you possibly can. Again, that being said, I've said it in the past as well, I wouldn't just mortgage the future or give just about anything to acquire him, only because knowing full well that the Winnipeg Jets have no leverage in this situation. They could hold off and say, okay, well, nobody's going to get him and he doesn't play, and they do something and kind of comes back to another $6.5, $7 million deal for one more year, but then he's just going to walk. And they could try to trade him at the trade deadline, right?
What about this? I mean, to the counterpoint to that, and I agree to an extent, and the math makes sense from your perspective. But like, if he really wants to come here so bad, right? Like, that's what we're hearing, and this is the destination he wants to be. And so they don't trade for him this year, and the following year comes, and you're saying, well, that's going to put him up to the $9.5 million range. Could the Canadiens not look at him and say, Pierre-Luc, listen, we know you want to come here. We'd love to have you, but we want to be competitive. You see what happens when big money is tossed to only a handful of players on a team, aka Toronto, and you see how it doesn't materialize for success. Now, you want to come home. You want to be here. We're interested in you, but you're going to have to take like what's known as the hometown discount. Now I'm not saying pay him like $4 million, but do you think he literally says, no, I want my money and I want my cake and I want it all? Or he says, oh, you know what? I made it very clear I want to be here. They know I want to
Dude,
be
what
here.
generation do you think we live in? Everybody wants their cake and they want to eat it too. You think they're all everyone's
so you don't think he's going to come around and say, you know what? You guys give me 7.5. That's cool. I'm happy to be home.
No way. 7.5.
No?
He's gonna look at Cole Caulfield, he's gonna look at Nick Suzuki, and
Yeah.
if Cole Caulfield
Yeah.
ends up getting $8 million, he's gonna say, I should at the very least. We're talking 8.8, 8.25, especially after having the best season of my career just now.
And what was his best season numbers, by the way?
I believe it was 63 points in 78 games.
That's
63 points for $9.5 million.
That's what terrifies me.
I'm going back to Dave's old point. I mean, you can pick up on it, Dave, if you want. But I mean, the more I think about that, if this guy's coming here,
63 and 73.
I think he almost had 30 goals, right? 27 goals.
27 goals.
Okay, so Cole Caulfield has had the same amount of goals, I think, halfway through the season this year, close to 24 goals or something. So I can look at it that way also. You know what I mean? That's my point. Like the situation with him, I find unique because it's so out there. Everybody knows this dude wants to come and play here. Now, I'm not saying he should get shortchanged dramatically for that. And I think he should actually be rewarded to a certain extent. You know, you give him as much that you can, the no move, the this, the that. But if he comes here and it's not through a trade, like you say, to get that extra 8th year to make the money work.
There's also something else you got to consider too. In a year from now, if the projections that the cap is going to go up between anywhere $2 and $3 million, all of a sudden, players like him are the $8 million range that it is for today is going to be the $9 million range.
That to me, this conversation sums up why you should probably pass on Trevor. But it's just to me, you're going to have. If you trade for him this year and you give him that contract, you're going to have your top 3 out of your top 4, your core 4, if you want to call it. You look at Toronto's core 4, you look at anywhere else in the league, and it's going to be, for Habs' case, nobody's hit 70 points in that lot. Like, it's crazy to me that's what people are. It's not just
you're
like
betting on potential earning versus what you've done.
So much on potential,
yeah.
and
I know.
You never know with injuries. There's so many. I'm not saying these guys don't have the potential, but there's so many factors that go into it, and it's wild to me.
Dave,
that's what.
Do you make that trade? Let's say it's Dvorak, Josh Anderson, and
no.
Choose between Florida's first or Montreal's first.
Trade. He
Montreal's
does not
first.
trade.
Never Montreal's first. Like that is crazy talk. Not even Florida's. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it because. There's no point. I don't see Dubois being a part. I wouldn't pick him as part of my core, anyways. And on top of that, if he wants to come here, let him come here. And that extra year or extra like 0.7, like you're just setting yourself. The cap's going up. That extra less like $500,000 that you're going to save, or like it doesn't mean anything. So to me, I'd rather get him for free than give up a first-round pick. And Josh Anderson, who could get you other stuff too. Like it's good to say we're over Josh Anderson, but Josh Anderson could get you stuff in a deal. So you're sacrificing that. You're sacrificing that first pick. Sure, you're getting rid of Christian Dvorak, but you could probably do that anyways. Ken Hughes is a smart guy. You could probably figure that a way to get rid of him in the first place. It's just to me, I would not make that move. It doesn't make sense to me. In any like no matter how much I run the numbers, it doesn't make sense to me. For a guy, especially. And I don't want to like harp on Dubois' character or anything, but a guy who has his history is question marks for both NHL teams that he's been a part of.
I mean, I don't want to keep going down this Dubois conversation.
Me too. I don't want to harp on the guy. I feel bad. Like the guy's going to be an amazing player in the league. I don't think it's a good fit.
My hope, if there's a hope and a final say about this, is if he does come here, I hope that however it ends up happening, it doesn't cost too much if it's going to be this year. And he shows up and he shows the true potential. To Vito's point, he taps into whatever he still has to give, and he jumps from 63 to maybe in the 80s. And that's the first step of many with a Martin St. Louis approach to things. And we're all very happy. And we hope that this doesn't ultimately turn out to be some sort of like magic beans that never end up growing. That's the big hope. But fundamentally, you got to look at what he's done.
Statistically, for people who have compared the situation to the Drouin one, which is nowhere close to being
It's
the
not
same
even
thing.
close to the
Not
same.
even close. Yeah.
For
No.
those that do compare that, even statistically, his numbers are way better than Drouin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I don't
the
consider people who I don't consider people's opinions that make that connection. So that said, moving on to the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I thought this was interesting. I don't know how relevant it is to the Habs, although I'm hoping that maybe one of you will surprise me. Sportsnet issued their top 12 UFAs for the upcoming season, and I'm going to list them. And my first question is, do you see any possible chance that individual ends up a Montreal Canadien?
You said top 12?
The answer, top 12, according to them. I'll list them in the order that they gave them, so 1 to 12. You tell me whether they can be a Hab or not next season. Again, prefixed by the fact that it's likely a lot of no's. But more interested, where do you think they end up? That's my curious. So it's a two-pronged question. Will they be a Hab next year? And then if not, where they
I have
going?
not seen this list, so this should be
Me
interesting.
neither.
It just came out today. So number 1, top UFA.
Would have been nice for you to slide that into the group chat, just for the rest of us to show.
No. I don't want to prep you. I'm not prepping you. I need
Fair enough.
authenticity.
Mitch
All right.
Melnick. Nice.
Oh, I'm flattered. Thank you. So, Dmitry Orlov. Vito,
That'd be amazing.
is he a Montreal Canadien next year?
He will not be a Montreal Canadian next year.
I think that's fair. Where's he going?
Back to Washington.
Wow.
You safe belt and suspender guy. You're so safe.
What?
You're so safe. Dave, Dmitry Orlov. Is he
that would be an amazing guy. I like
I think
Dmitry
so.
Orlov a lot, but no, I don't think he'll end up in Montreal.
Okay.
Probably Boston. I can see him going back. Boston.
I would have said Boston too. I think he's going to go back to Boston. He's going to.
I say he only goes back to Boston if Bergeron comes back and they feel like they could do that run again.
It's just Washington. Why would you go back there?
I can't see you go back. I think Washington's on the down now. I can't see why.
Yeah,
you go
they're
back
on the
there.
Alexander.
We got a
Ovechkin
lot of
retirement
names.
tour. All right, sorry.
We got a lot of names to get through. I want to get through. The next one is Ryan O'Reilly. Will he be a Hab, Dave?
No.
All right. Where's he going?
Oh, that's tough. I could see him resigning with Toronto, to be honest. I don't want to mean to be boring, but I really can. I can see it.
No. Wrong answer. Vito. Where's Ryan O'Reilly going, since you probably also think he won't be a Canadian?
He won't be a Canadian. I know how Dave feels about Ryan O'Reilly. If you remember 2 episodes
Yes,
ago,
I remember.
how excited he was. He was willing to pick everybody. Everybody. No, he was willing to pick Ryan O'Reilly over everybody.
Not
where
what I
will he
said.
end
Go
up?
back and watch that episode.
Over everybody.
How
he
many
won't
goals
end up
did
with the
Gallagher
Canadiens.
score?
What?
Sorry. How
Go
many
back
goals
to the
did
names.
Gallagher?
I can't wait to
Gallagher
catch in on
score.
that, by the way. But yes. Go ahead. Where's he going?
The Colorado Avalanche.
Ooh, I like it.
Back where it all started for him.
I love it. That's actually an amazing. That would be an amazing get. You think
that's
people
not bad.
want to go back home? Eh? Orlov.
I just think that the Colorado Avalanche
It's a good fit.
tried to fill a need, and with Lars Eller, it didn't work. And I think Ryan O'Reilly, while he's not going to bring what Kadri brought, will bring another element, has that playoff pedigree, and right now the window is still completely open for Colorado.
I love that actually.
That's actually a pretty smart answer. I'll give you that much. I would have said St. Louis. I think he goes back.
I didn't want to be a belt suspenders kind of guy.
I know, but I think he does. Okay, Patrick Kane, Vito.
Why is it always me going first? He's definitely not going to be a Montreal Canadian. He's definitely not going to be a Montreal Canadian. This guy's going to stay in the New York area somewhere. I just don't know. It won't be the Rangers.
No,
he may end up becoming a Buffalo Sabre.
So
he may actually take a discount to go back home.
To go home. And to be fair to Buffalo, this isn't the dumpster fire Buffalo that it was a couple of years ago.
No.
They're actually potential playoff teams, so it kind of makes sense now.
They might actually be willing to pay a certain price to even get him there. Even from a marketing standpoint, it just makes sense for their city.
I could see a 2-year contract going there for him. I could see it. Dave?
Man, I was going to say Buffalo too. No to the Canadians. I would say Buffalo too. But if New Jersey can make it work, it would be fun to see him with New Jersey.
New Jersey.
won't work.
Sure.
It won't work. It'll never happen. But it would just be fun to see him.
I
with
think
New
they're going
Jersey.
to commit too much money to
Yeah,
How
exactly.
stacked do you want to make one team?
They're such a fun team. I'm all in on New Jersey. I really like their team a lot. I think it was too soon for them this year to be even anywhere close to contending. But I like them.
They still need a bit more sandpaper and grit, in my opinion. Just a bit.
That's true. But Kane brings that experience that is usually missing.
True. Matt Dumba.
Interesting.
Matt Dumba. Dave.
No to Montreal. Matt Dumba.
I told you there'd be a lot of no's on this list.
Yeah, he's been linked to Toronto in the past a lot. They could definitely use his help.
I'd be upset if he went to Toronto personally.
I could see him going. I think I could see him going to Toronto though. That's the thing. So I'll go with Toronto.
Okay. Vito.
Matt Dumba.
That's who we're talking
about. I don't even. You know who I could see him ending up with? The Nashville Predators. They could use They could use another right-handed defenseman. They haven't really replaced PK Subban on that right side since he left. I mean, that's they do have Dante Fabro and whatever, but I mean, I could see him going to Nashville.
And not the Canadiens, of course.
No, not the Canadiens. None of the UFAs. I don't think
just doing
I don't know what this list
what
is.
I have to do.
What is this,
asked the question.
Is this number 4?
That was number 4. Yeah.
Okay, we got 8 to go. Let's go.
Yeah, let's roll.
Yeah, we're rolling. Okay.
Cool.
Tarasenko, number 5.
Oh man. No, obviously, and I see him. If New York can make it work, I could see him staying with the Rangers. He brought a lot. He brought a lot to them. I like it.
Except in the playoffs, but yep.
Yeah, whatever.
When it counts.
Playoffs.
Yeah.
I could see him. No, for Montreal. I could see him staying in New York, but I could also see him in LA. I feel like he's a player that would fit well in LA right now. And where LA is going, they got into the playoffs. Like I could see they could add that firepower in the top 6.
LA's a good pick too. I like LA. I can actually see that working too. That was actually good. Damn, I don't like seeing that you did 2 good picks in one list already.
LA is going to become the new New York, man. In a few years, everyone's going to be linked to LA. It's going to just
what's not to like LA?
I know.
Number 6 is a little bit silly, but he's number 6, so I say it how it is. Bergeron.
Oh, come on, stop.
Yeah,
you want to know where he ends up? By his pool with his family and kids.
I was going to say retired also, but he's the number 6 UFA.
It's either Boston or nothing. I'm not even going to entertain that.
Yeah. So we'll pass through that one because that's meh. Bertuzzi.
Oh,
that's fun. That's a fun name.
Bertuzzi. And I'll tell you right off the bat, my opinion about this, I think he is on the team that was designed for Bertuzzi.
Yeah.
So I think he stays in Boston.
Yeah, I think so too. I would give Philly an honorable mention on that one, but I think you'd rather stay with Boston, who's there's a chance to make the playoffs and all that stuff. So,
yeah,
man, we're not mentioning enough. Like Chicago's going to have to make some moves because some people are going to want to play with Connor Bedard going forward.
Yeah, Matt Dumba.
Chicago's not doing anything for another 2 years, I bet you.
You can't just leave Connor Bedard on that roster and let him sink. You just sold $2 million worth of freaking season tickets. You can't. You have to go make some moves.
What's the sink? Yeah, he's going to have a player or two, but I bet you they don't do much. I bet you they want another top 5 pick.
Dave's right. To Dave's point, they're going to but even they can still get a top 5 pick even if they add a UFA
if they add Tyler
Bertuzzi, they're going to add somebody. I can't see Bertuzzi going there personally, but
I mean, you can convince me to go play there. It's a good core. Like you have Connor Bedard to build around. You want to be part of that. If you tell me that Tyler, I could be sold on it if I'm Tyler.
First off, they haven't drafted Bedard yet.
Sure, okay.
We don't know who they're taking.
It
can be anybody.
Maybe the petition will work and they'll lose.
Moving on, Alex Killorn.
Yes. I'm gonna say yes.
Here it comes. The only one on the list I thought might get a Montreal nod. Yes.
Given the big investment he just recently made in Montreal's real estate, that I would say he's coming to Montreal.
Montreal real estate that he's plugged into all these places. Oh yeah, he made a big splash in Montreal real
He
estate.
did. We'll look it up.
Ah.
He actually did.
I'll have to. I'm gonna have to.
He actually did. You see. Read. Read.
I guess I don't have your guys' connections.
But he doesn't have to live. You know what he does? He pays Simon Salikis the money to invest. Okay, and he could live. He could do it from Tampa. He could do it from Florida. Doesn't mean he has to be here.
They give you a plug on the episode, Simon.
Okay, we're getting off topic. Calor.
Yes. We had a conversation about him not that long ago, and we said that it would be one of those signings where, in a couple of years, we're gonna feel it a bit. It's gonna hurt because he's gonna get paid quite a bit of money after having his career year.
Yep.
I'm on the opposite end of that. I think he's gonna take a bit of a reasonable deal. You want to talk about hometown discounts, Matt? I think this is the one who does.
You think he's less than 5? I don't know, man.
It's gonna be a tough sell, but
I don't know. Okay,
I'd like to.
All right,
I'd like to see it.
So we finally got a guy on the list of the top in the top 12.
64 points in 82 games this season, 59 in 82 the last, and
it's what he brings. It's what he brings.
Yeah, it's what he brings.
The points.
He brings a point more than Pierre-Luc Dubois did. That's what he brings.
What scares me about Alex Killorn, the only thing, and I'm saying I think there's a chance he comes to Montreal, is the fact that he's 33.
Yeah, for sure. But if you want veterans, if you plan on,
he'd be a very good veteran to have, I think. Okay, next we got 4 names left. I want to get through this because some of them are interesting. Michael Bunting.
No to Montreal. I think he's gone.
No.
I think he's gone from Toronto. I don't know. Boston.
The guy. I don't see him even in Boston. I think he's just. Imagine him and Marchand on the same team.
Well,
the whining and complaining. Oh God,
that's why I see him there.
That's
where I could see him.
Culture.
Yeah,
it's gonna be between 2 teams: New York Islanders or the Edmonton Oilers.
How many ex-Leafs do you want on the Oilers?
I could see some secondary scoring. Like he could provide some secondary scoring for both teams, and both teams could use the secondary scoring if he could just keep his temper and his little flare-ups under control, even a little bit. He can be a pest in the league and be a successful one. He's got to stop going after the refs and complaining every 2 seconds.
The Detroit Red Wings will get Michael Bunting, in my opinion.
No, Yzerman's never going to go after that.
You've heard it here first. Moving on.
Matt, if that happens, I'll buy you something.
I know. Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will when it happens, because it will.
Can't wait.
The Ghost. Gostisbehere.
Still around? He's a top 12 free agent.
Jets.
He is number 10.
Jeebus.
Not Montreal.
Top 12.
Not Montreal, and I'll say the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay.
Yeah, not Montreal. And, I don't care. This is one of the guys that I could not care less about.
I don't care. All right.
Yeah, mark that as my answer. Okay. I don't care.
He doesn't care. I think he stays in Carolina. But okay. Max Domi.
Dallas.
Interesting.
You stay in Dallas now? You finally found a home?
I think he's having fun in Dallas. I think Dallas likes him, and he's been contributing. He did very well this season with them.
Good season.
And he did well in the playoffs. He's been doing well in the playoffs too. He just brings that element that Dallas needed. That Dallas, that pest. The only thing we know Max Domi, right? Like when he's on, and he's entertaining to watch. But he's also very inconsistent. That when he's off, he's really off.
No.
Yeah, I agree. No for Montreal, and I think Dallas is a perfect fit for Domi. I always liked Max Domi. I never thought he was the 70-point player that that everyone raved about when he was here, and it was a crazy year for sure. But he's the type of guy who would work well in their high-profile situation. Like, look how well he did with the Canadiens because he wanted to be here. Second year was less fun, and you saw, him fade a little bit, and the expectations. But I could see him going to a big market, if not Dallas. I think he stays in Dallas ultimately. I always thought it would be a good fit with Toronto. Also, I mean, I hate to say them again, but just a high pressure market, and he seems to thrive in those situations. But we'll see.
Yeah, he's big under the lights for sure. I mean, I would have liked him back on the Habs personally. I was a little upset when he was gone, but I think Dallas is a pretty good fit for him. And rounding off the list, number 12, Tristan Jarry. The only goalie on the list.
Yeah,
not from Montreal.
No, I don't know.
You'd have to think of the teams that who's going to take him, just because the stupidity. Who's going to sign just because of the stupidity between the two markets these days? Philly. Philly's going to take him. They're going to move Carter Hart, and they're going to go get Tristan Jarry, because they're going to say that's the solution. That is the solution. And you know what? They're such rivals. I want to take something from Pittsburgh and see if I could make them better.
Is Tristan Jarry a starting goaltender in your eyes, guys? I just don't see it.
Would you have him or Monty?
Oh, yeah, probably him.
I don't know. You know what? I'm going to disagree with Dave. With the way Monty's been playing lately and the way that his confidence seems to be growing, and the fact that Tristan Jarry has a history with injuries, I think
that's another thing.
And I get him at a discount, right? Monty, even if he comes out at $3 million next year after this upcoming season, he's still cheaper than Jarry.
Beware of goalies who do well in bad seasons. Like, I don't know. I want to see Monty do well when it counts. You know what I mean? Maybe yeah.
I mean, he's got goalie coach Carey Price now.
Yeah.
He's getting some tips from Carey Price from what we heard recently. So who knows?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that concludes the list, and I think that brings a close to this particular episode, gentlemen. So thank you for everybody tuning in. The draft, like Vito mentioned, is 35 days away from the time of this recording. So there is a lull, unfortunately, in Habs land, as everybody knows, and that's why Pierre-Luc Dubois keeps being brought up all the time. But the hope is, as we get closer to the draft, we're going to be looking at some of the likely scenarios that the Habs might get at 5 and doing a deeper dive into the individuals, more so than just names that you possibly have heard. We're going to try to provide a little bit more context to why they might be picked at 5, etc. So keep an eye out for that. We're going to be posting on Twitter when we come to that point in our recording. And as always, one last time, we thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, drop a like. If you didn't, drop a dislike. We very much like the comments you guys are leaving. Those are always fantastic. We'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Anybody on the list of 12 who you think might be a Hab or where they might be going, we'd be interested to see that as well. And finally, for Vito and Dave, I'm Matt, and this was
Get Pucked.